15 minutes. That's nothing, right? For a moment, just think about how quickly 15 minutes passes. Go ahead, we'll give you a second. Now, what if we told you 15 minutes could change your life? Welcome to 15-Minute Transformation with Sheyna James. 15 minutes out of your day could help transform your mindset, your habits, and your lifestyle. If you're looking to improve your relationships, boost your productivity, or just be happier and more fulfilled, get ready for practical insights and inspiration that you can use right now. 15 minutes to change your life. This is 15-Minute Transformation with Sheyna James.
Welcome to our very first, introductory episode of 15-Minute Transformation with Sheyna L. James, where you can have the life you've always dreamed about in just 15 minutes a day, one episode at a time. Now, today, I want to just start you off by telling you a little bit about what is 15-Minute Transformations and why do I believe they're so important and they matter. Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself. It was a normal Sunday morning in my life, and my husband, who was a pastor, we were waking up to get ready to go to church, and I woke up to the sounds of giggling and laughter in my bed. And I look over and I hear my husband say to my 2-year-old, "Gobi, give me some sugar." And they rubbed their noses together and they exchanged Eskimo kisses. And they just laughed, and my little boy said, "Skimos, Daddy, skimos," meaning more Eskimos kisses. And I just laid in the bed. My husband was like, "Hey, you know what? You stay here. I'm going to take the kids to church early. You get a little bit of rest." And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I am just living this dream life. I have a great husband. You know, we have a wonderful family at the time, 2 children, ages 2 and 5. And I was just thinking to myself, oh my Lord, you know, God, you're so good to me. Well, we go to church that Sunday morning, and my husband preaches this fiery message, like, get up and get in the game and serve. And he's like, you know, hey, I'm going to preach to anybody. I want you to get to know Jesus. And he preached this fiery message. And when he came out of the pulpit, he comes to me and he says, "You know, I don't feel very good. I feel nauseous." And I said, "Well, why don't you go in the back and take care of yourself? And I'll check on you shortly." And about 10 to 12 minutes later, I went in the back and I found my husband laid out on the ground, unconscious. And I mean, I'm like calling everybody I know, "Hey guys, come in, come get him." Well, he got rushed to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, the doctor comes out and he tells me, he says, "Mrs. Hurd, I'm sorry, but we've done all that we can do, but your husband has passed away." And I'm thinking, what? How did he pass away? You know, he suffered a major heart attack. And within 30 minutes from really the time that he preached, he had passed away. And the time of death on his death certificate was less than an hour. And it took me a while to go, after he died and was buried, it took me a while to go to the cemetery because it's just so hard. And I felt like in that moment that all my hopes and all my dreams had died with my husband. But when I went to the cemetery 6 months after he had passed, I looked at all of the headstones there. And I remembered a quote from Miles Monroe. Miles Monroe said, "The wealthiest place in all the world is not diamond mines, it's not oil fields, it's not banks. He said, the wealthiest place in all the world is the cemetery." He said, because there are dreams that were never come to reality. There are books that were never written, songs that were never sung, businesses that never got started. And I thought about it and I looked there and I said, you know what? I'm not lying in this grave. My husband is. And I realized that I had, in 6 months, because he had passed, I didn't dream anymore. And I realized, I said, you know what, Lord, Jeff died, but I didn't die. And so I began to dream again and I began to hope again. But here's the catch. I had all these dreams and goals, and I've always been a type A personality. But the funny part was that within a 24-hour period, I became a single mother of 2 children, ages 2 and 5, 2 boys. I became the pastor of a congregation. I was like, what? I became a widow. I became the CEO of a nonprofit, all within 24 hours. Immediately after he passed, all of these responsibilities came on. And so while I still had dreams that started to become a reality, I sat back and I was like, I don't know. I don't have the time. I feel overwhelmed. How do I have or move towards this life that I know I want, that I know I should have, but that I just don't feel like I have the time for? And so it was at that point that, I really began to pray and realize that there's just so much more that God wanted, and there was so much more that I needed to do, but I needed to learn how to do it. So fast forward, I actually began to do some studying on personal growth. And as I did studies on personal growth, I came across, my background is actually in electrical engineering. And at electrical engineering, one of the principles that I had learned about and studied as I started to study on leadership development and training was on the Kaizen principle. And the Kaizen principle is a principle of the Japanese, where they took a manufacturing company and they looked at, how do I make this manufacturing company better? And the Kaizen principle says that if I just break down the parts of the manufacturing process and I look at it and say, hey, I'm going to get better, like just look at one part of this and try to improve it by 1% each day. And they discover that if you get 1% better each day, that these tiny changes begin to compound and generate massive growth for you. And every day, if you work to just get 1% better, the improvements start to compound on each other. And gradually, you're going to start seeing an effect of those improvements. So what they discovered is that if you would just get 1% better every day in just 3 months, you'd be 2.4 times better than you are today. In just 3 months. And in 6 months, you'd be 6 times better. And in 12 months, you'd actually be 36 times better than you are today. So it was this concept of just aiming for 1% better. But y'all, I was like, I ain't got time to even look at 1% better because I am running a business. I'm pastoring a church. I have 2 small children at the time. And y'all, I was crazy. I was coaching their baseball team, had a basketball program I was running. I was coaching them in basketball and running a league for them in basketball. And I was doing all of these things and yet feeling like I'm not getting anywhere near my goal. Now, I don't know who may be listening to these, but maybe you're feeling that way too. And I began to discover and somewhere came across this principle that in order to really grow and to do the 1% better, you don't have to take like hours and hours and hours a day to get better. You really only need, y'all, hold on to your seats because I'm about to tell you this principle is the life-changing principle that really radically changed things in my life. When I tell you it transformed stuff, I mean, when I learned this, I lost weight. I lost 70 pounds considering this principle. I was able to start my business with this principle. I was able to learn how after the age of 40 to play the piano with this principle. I was able to read, I've read 29 books within a 2-year period, which y'all, I mean, I loved to read before, but did not have time. So never read books from cover to cover, all with this principle. So this principle that I'm going to teach you is one that is the basis, not only for for me, achieving and having the things that I believe God called me to have in my life, but it's a principle for the dreams that God placed inside of me becoming a reality. So I want to tell you that this principle was everything. What was the principle? Here it is. It's my 15-minute principle. And what I began to discover is yes, I can get 1% better each day, but I don't need hours and hours and hours of working on something each day to get 1% better. All I needed to do, literally, all I needed to do was to work on something for 15 minutes a day. And I thought to myself, that don't sound that bad. Y'all, I was like, 15 minutes, I can do 15. You know, when I start thinking about it, how many of you are listening to this podcast and, you know, you can raise your hand in your car, you can raise your hand as you're on the treadmill and you're listening to this, but do you think you can find 15 minutes to achieve the life that you really want? And some of you are saying to yourself, there is no way 15 minutes is going to change your life. I am here to tell you that 15 minutes was the most remarkable thing that ever happened to me. So what did I start doing? Every day for 15 minutes, I just tackled something that was going to help me towards my goal. So for instance, I wanted to grow as a speaker. I wanted to grow as a coach and as a trainer. So I made a decision. I had been setting these goals. Like I'd set a lot of goals, but I was having trouble achieving those goals. Not that I wasn't achieving any goals, but really getting where I wanted to be. And I think it was because I was so focused on the goal, I wasn't focused on the journey. So what I did was I said, well, I'm going to just work on this journey for 15 minutes a day. So one of the goals that I set out to was I wanted to grow as a speaker. And in order to grow as a speaker, I thought I need to read books. So about 2.5 years ago, or actually about 2 years ago now, I started reading 15 minutes a day. And I would just pick up a book and I just hit that 15 minutes on that book. And I was like, okay, that wasn't bad. And before I knew it, I was completing book after book after book. And I even completed a 700-page political book, which is a book that I never thought I would finish. First of all, sister finished 700 pages. That's a lot of pages of reading. And then on a topic that's political, that ain't like something I read all the time on politics. And I learned as I was reading that book, the principle was so simple. It was this. It was like, even if you just read one line a day, you're going to get through that book eventually if you don't stop. So I was like, what? So I would read for 15 minutes. Some days that 15 minutes, it was hard to focus. So it might be like a page or two. Other days that 15 minutes, I was so zoned in, I was reading 10 pages, and so much so that I didn't want to stop, and I would just keep reading for like another 15 minutes or 30 minutes total. But I finished the 700-page book. And when I finished it, I said to myself, if I can do that, look, I read a 700-page book with kids who play baseball, with kids who were in school, helping them do their homework, with kids. Come on, somebody. Y'all don't understand. I read a 700-page book while running a business, while pastoring a church. I read a 700-page book while trying to maintain my health, while, being stressed out over life, all of this. And it was this simple principle. It was reading 15 minutes a day. And I just was like, if I can do that 15 minutes a day, I can change anything in my life. And so I started operating this principle. And as I said, so many things have transformed in my life. Since the age of 40, I wanted to learn to play piano 15 minutes a day. I would play that piano every day for 15 minutes. And now, my goal for playing was not just to learn how to play, but because I pastor a church and sometimes we didn't have musicians, I was like, I want to be able to fill in and play if we don't have musicians. Well, guys, guess what? 15 minutes a day after the age of 40, learning to play the piano. And I'm the backup to the backup. Look, I'm the backup to the backup musician for our church because it's just 15 minutes a day. I started telling my clients about this 15-minute a day principle. And so many of my clients started using it. And they were like, oh my God, that was revolutionary to my life. And as a matter of fact, occasionally on here, I'll maybe bring some of them on or even share some of their stories with you. But it was so life-changing. It's become so life-changing that I realized that this is not something that I can sit on. Like anything that you want to have in your life, anything that you desire to have, all it takes is 15 minutes a day and being consistent with 15 minutes a day, working towards your goal. And if you focus on just getting better instead of just getting to the goal, you may come up, it may take you 4 years, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. To reach your goal, but you're going to reach it. Why? Because you're working on it each and every day for 15 minutes a day. So I want to encourage you. The 15-minute transformation podcast with Sheyna James, it's all about giving you things that you can do, giving you inspiration, helping you to grow, helping you to hear new things that can help you, tips, tricks, encouragement, whatever you need to help you gain the life that you have dreamed about. We're going to be going through this for 15 minutes a day. You can pop this in your car on your car ride to work. You can do it on a walk. You can listen while you're in the shower, but just make sure the radio is outside the shower, not in. or the radio is waterproof. But either way, every day, Monday through Friday, I'm going to be dropping a brand new episode, 15 minutes a day, that you can go through to help you really, really, really reach the life you've always dreamed about. I look back on my life and I'm so excited. I would have never been able to build my business, grow the ministry, help my children become who they are. I have 2 children. One is a college baseball player. One is on his way to college and will be playing baseball. And I would have never been able to do all of that, lose weight, play the piano, read 29 books in 2 years. I would never been able to accomplish all of that without working 15 minutes a day. So take 15 minutes out of your day and listen to our podcast. I look forward to coming back to you on May 1st with our very, very, very first real podcast on 15-minute transformation with Sheyna James. Take care. Have a great day.
You've been listening to 15-Minute Transformation with Sheyna James. If you take 15 minutes of your day and use it how Sheyna recommends, you will change your life. Sheyna is a certified life coach, a pastor, and a transformation expert. Real, authentic, and right to the point. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Coach Sheyna. And be sure to head over to the website at powerof15minutes.com. Remember, if you do something for 15 minutes for 1 year, at the end of the year, you spent 100 hours on that task. Powerful. See you next time on 15-Minute Transformation with Sheyna James.